March 30th, regular session meeting to order. If you would please stand as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to ask our Vice President, Del Steele, to please read the mission of the Valley Park School District.
The Valley Park School District is dedicated to providing a safe and supportive environment of belonging where personalized learning experiences prepare our students holistically for limitless opportunities, empowering them to make the world a better place.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adam Hamilton, the Athletes of the Month for February 2022 and March 2022.
Good evening, everyone. Each month, we recognize two outstanding student athletes for their contributions to our school community. And since we were virtual during our previous meeting, I wanted to make sure that we gave our February Athletes of the Month a chance to be recognized. Our first one is Heaven Barber. She's a cheerleader. Unfortunately, Heaven was not able to join us tonight, but I did want to at least point out some of the things that her coach Fashion, said. She's grown amazingly over the years and turned into an awesome leader, eager to try new things and never gives up. She encourages her teammates and never fails to put a smile on their faces. We're very lucky to have such a strong athlete with high energy on the team. So congratulations again to Heaven Barber. Our second athlete of the month of February for bowling, hockey, and Special Olympics is Johnny Prosser. Johnny, would you come on up? So Johnny was nominated by Miss Danielle Fox. And according to Miss Fox, she said, Johnny exemplifies what it means to be an athlete. Not only does he display his athletic ability in a variety of sports, but he also shows true sportsmanship in everything he does. Johnny recently won a gold medal at the Special Olympics bowling. Other activities he participates in include Special Olympics basketball, GDSB skiing, Special Olympics bowling, and Blues special hockey. He's a true asset to the Valley Park community and spreads his kindness and joy to all those around him. Yeah. Ask anyone who's tried to walk the halls of VP with him, he's a celebrity. Everyone stops to say hi, and we're truly proud of all his success, and we learn from him daily. Johnny, it's a lot of fun being able to get a fist bump from you every day. So congratulations, Johnny. Sorry.
Give a fist bump. Give a fist bump.
And now on to our March Athletes of the Month. Our first one is Aubrey Dibble from our Hawk Power program. Aubrey, if you would stand up, please. Aubrey was nominated by Coach Alicia Wilson, who said, coaching Aubrey in the Hawk Power program is inspiring. She's taught me so much about training young athletes. She's always willing to push herself to that next level. And once Aubrey became confident in her own abilities, she started helping train her peers too. Her upbeat, positive attitude has brought more females into the weight room, and she is a powerhouse. Just anecdotally, she is pound for pound the strongest person we have in our program. Without a question, unbelievably impressive, and reminds me I need to get back into the gym a little more. Aubrey, congratulations, and thank you for being such an amazing And our second athlete of the month for the month of March is Clark Menley from the boys basketball team. Clark, you'll come up. In his nomination, Coach Jarvis said, once Clark was inserted into the starting lineup, he developed into a dangerous scoring threat. He's a strong defender, typically drawing 1 to 2 charges a game. But what's most impressive about Clark is his work ethic. He gives everything he has to make himself and his teammates better. Is a great team player, serving as an example for all those younger teammates. Clark's future is extremely bright as a basketball player and a person. Thank you for all your dedication to our program. Congratulations, Clark. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all of our February and March Athletes of the Month. Next, item 2.02 is our recognition.
Hi.
Thank you, Johnny. 2.02 is the recognition of our stock market challenge, our first place awards, Mrs. Kelly Kaiser.
Good evening. This is one we were going to celebrate at the February board meeting, but like what Coach Hamilton said, we are going to go ahead and honor it today because of the inclement weather. And so this is about the 7th year that our gifted program has done the stock market exchange. And this is the 3rd time we've had a team finish in first place. This team competed against 392 teams across the state of Missouri, and they got first place, which is an incredible feat. They will be the first to tell you that this was not a linear journey. We had some points where they were near the top, and then there were points where they were maybe not doing quite as well as they would have hoped. But what impresses me more than that, besides that, I mean, winning is very impressive, don't get me wrong. But what impressed me the most about this team is their perseverance. They could have easily given up, thrown in the towel and said, we're done. Instead, they dug in deeper. They did the research, they did the analysis, and their hard work paid off. So without further ado, I would like to call up Dylan. And I want to call up Owen. And Steven.
I know that she's gonna want to get your pictures as well, so if you guys and your families, Ms. Kaiser, want to make your way out there, I know she'll want to get your pictures taken. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
All right, and next on 2.03, we are going to hear about our ELL program report from Dr. Megan Strayevsky and Dr. Michelle Sensabaugh.
Like all good leaders, Dr. Sensabaugh will do all of
I got a blessing.
I'm very happy to introduce her to you and share all the wonderful things we're doing in our ELL program.
Will you be able to, or
Second.
someone be able to get the button before that?
Yeah.
Do I have to stand behind this or can I? You build it with the next button and stuff. Okay, perfect. Okay. So today, my name is Dr. Michelle Sensabaugh, and I have been in this role since 2007. This is my year 15 in this program, and I couldn't imagine working anyplace else. Before I start with education, we always have terminology, so I want to go over a few of the terms so that way, as I explain further, you understand. English learner is our ELL, ESL, all the things you've heard. They mean the exact same thing. Any kid who's receiving services, we have to code them as EL. Language minority is something completely, is in the umbrella. Language minority means you speak another language besides English in the home. So just because you are a language minority does not necessarily mean you're going to be EL or ESL. So language minority is the big umbrella, and based on that, we determine who's going to receive services. After a student graduates from the EL program, we put them on monitor status. We don't just say, hey, guess what, you're done, and good luck in the regular classroom. We support them for 2 years just to make sure. And we've actually had a few students that we've had to bring back for a little bit and go. So we just want to make sure that we support them along the way. Whenever it comes to EL, the domains that we focus on are speaking, listening, reading, and writing, and vocabulary is used in all of those. So working with kids, we want to make sure they can't just be able to communicate orally. We want to make sure that they can read and write academically. And I have pictures of our kids throughout the program. Okay. These are the languages represented here at Valley Park School District. So of course, majority of our speakers are a pretty big Spanish population, a lot of kids that speak Arabic and Swahili, but as you can see, we have languages that
just showed up in the past couple of years we haven't had. Of about the kids in our district, about 100 of them or so are language minorities, so 12% of our population for diversity is really pretty cool. And of that, it was 52 as of last week. As of today, it's 55 students are receiving EL services. Just yesterday, we welcomed a brand new family from Yemen. So we have 3 new students, 2 at the elementary, 1 at the high school, who only speak Arabic. So we are having a good time at our school trying to figure out helping these kids. Any questions so far? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So several years ago, I believe it was 2010, when we joined the Weda Consortium. It's before, whenever I first started this, every district and every state had their own criteria to determine who's EL, who's not. Well, they wanted to mainstream it to make sure no matter where a kid was, they were getting support. So we joined the Weda Consortium, and there are 36 states total. They all take the same entrance test and the exit test. So that way, if the kid moves to Parkway, we have the common language when it comes to assessment, or from another state, we can help determine how well they're doing. Okay, so the question is, how do we identify an EL student? So I have worked closely and we have streamlined this process. Every student is required to take a home language survey. So we ask kids what language do they speak in the home, and what other, like what do they use for their parents? Do they hear anything? If we accept anything besides English, even if it's a grandparent living in the home, we do the WEDA test. So it's based on this test, it's called the WAPT. We, depending on how they score, determines EL services. So if they score 4.6 or higher, they consider just LM or language minority. They do not need support from us. If they score 4.7 or lower, they would be considered and classified as an English language learner. So they would receive some type of support or services. The lower the level, the more the need. So if you come back at a level 1, like our new family from Yemen, you're going to get a lot of help. Next one. These are different levels of proficiency. So like our new family we got from Yemen, level 1, level 2 is just the basics. When you're thinking of like, can I be able to communicate? Can I use the restroom? We're talking about BICS or basic interpersonal communication skills, which also means social English. Can you have a conversation with someone? So this takes 1 to 2 years to develop. So thinking about some of our kids who come to middle school, high school, it takes 1 to 2 years to develop. You're thinking, oh, but they have to get credits. So we have to get creative about how we ensure kids learn the social English at the academic at the same time. Next one. So levels 1 and 2 is when we see a lot of growth with kids. And then sometimes they can start to level off when we get to level 3, 4, and then 5 and 6. 3, 4 is when the kids have enough English to be able to communicate in the classroom with their classmates, but the academic English is where it becomes difficult. So that's where they need intensive support and explicit instruction when it comes to vocabulary, when it comes to reading comprehension, when it comes to idioms, figurative language, like things that we use today. Like one of my little 3rd graders said, "Touch since well, it's raining cats and dogs." And my new kid from Yemen was like, he knew cats and dogs, but he didn't understand the idiom. So you have to be creative in how you explain things. So we just assume that these kids have these experiences. We have to be very explicit. Okay. And then last, when they get to level 5, the bridging, like they are considered equal to a general education student here, language ability wise. So once they're at level 5 to 6, they exit the program, they go on monitor status, and the plan is for them to, assimilate into regular education without any support. Okay. So like I said, I have been in this role since 2007. I have been the K-12 EL teacher. I've worked with K-12. My focus, majority of the time, is working with like 4th grade on up, middle school, high school, because their needs are very demanding. And this past couple of years, Miss Jenny Fitzgerald has been the elementary ELTA from 2018 to present. And I just wanted to personally thank you guys and the board for recognizing a need for 2 EL teachers to support our students. Because starting in the fall, Jenny will officially become my colleague as the EL teacher at the elementary. So thank you for that. Okay. So I just want to celebrate some of the program highlights we've had over the couple of years. We have had several students who I've kept in touch with go on to classes. These are kids who were in the EL program straight leaving, and then who have exited the program but still have moved on. So we've had kids go to Mizzou, Maryville, Webster. I have one of our kids right now. She's going to WashU, and she was a finalist in the for the presidential scholarship, or full scholar, but she just got into the honors program. She found that last week. We've had some kids who know that for their family, they want to go into construction. We've had kids utilize South Tech. We've had kids go in the military. So we've had kids go in all branches. So my goal for our kids when they leave this program, at college isn't for everybody, but when they leave here, they have a plan. So I have been able to work with support that. When it comes to students transitioning to modern status, in 18-19, we had 6 students leave from our program. It averages anywhere from 45 to 55 kids a year. So that's a good amount of kids. And then COVID happened, of course. So erring on the side of caution with exiting kids, I didn't feel comfortable letting them leave, knowing that everything was crazy. So we exited 1 in 2020 and then 1 last year. And I've got probably 4 to 5 kids in the bubble this year to exit. So our numbers are getting back. Something I did want to brag about is looking at our graduation from the past couple of years. These arrows point to kids for valedictorian, salutatorian that were former ELs. So if you look at our kids who have graduated, 2019, both of them were SARs. And what's neat about St. Louis and the small world, Amira graduated in 2020 as valedictorian. My husband is professor at Webster University, and now he is her academic advisor because she's going back to be a math teacher. So I got to hear about how well she is doing. So that transition is still there because I had her when she was in 1st grade. So just wanted to shout out all of our kids for doing amazing things. 2 years ago, I worked with Parkway and we did a collaborative where we had the elementary EL teachers and there's where we put together and we did an intensive workshop and we started to do action research. We did studies on vocabulary. We went to Parkway, observed EL students, they came here. And then we were working on action research, started that, and in March, COVID happened. And unfortunately, the person in that program has moved on. So as the future comes, I would like to bring something back, maybe not to Parkway, but some kind of things to support the teachers. Because the kids are with us, hour a day maybe, but the majority of the time they're with the general ed classroom teachers, and they're the ones that are going to help the most. So some of the highlights.
Is that Eric?
Yeah, Eric Sanchez. Yeah. Yeah, I had him when he was little and he's doing great now. Great. Yeah. So our program goals, first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Dr. Megan Shayesky. She has been absolutely amazing in supporting the EL program. And I feel like we're at a place that we can now self-reflect, figure out what we're doing well, what we can improve upon, and now ready to move on. So 2 big program goals that we're doing is making sure that we are compliant with the federal government expectations. Compliance is very important to me. So we will be updating our LOUD plan, looking at curriculum, and then looking at procedures and expectations, just to make sure kids or families or procedures don't fall through the gaps. For example, making sure that our kids who come here, like from Yemen, he played soccer. So I want to make sure that he is eligible in the fall to play soccer for sports requirements. And then communication with LAP parents is something that we've been working on. Voyance is an phone call system that we have that no matter who comes into the district, every teacher has that access to, and administrator, anybody in the district, where they can call a number, put an interpreter on the phone, and you can communicate with family. The days of saying, sorry, we have to wait to have somebody come, those days are over. They will get the welcome just like an English speaking parent. And then working on making sure compliance with translated documents. And Mrs. Gast and Dr. Shayesky and Ms. Fitzgerald have been wonderful at ensuring that those policies and procedures will be put in place, along with Mr. Zach here for making sure that everything's translated online too. And these are just some highlights over the years of some of our kiddos have been in the program. So. And that's it. Thank you. Guys, any questions?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments regarding our ESL program?
Thank you. We've got great kids and great families, and I'm excited to see where the program changes. And like it just gets better and better. So
Thank you for all of your hard work. I know it's not an easy job, so.
yeah, every day is something different. You don't know. You feel like, oh, like I told my principal, I'm like, oh, the rest of the year is just teaching. I'm like, because I'm a big step and then a new family comes, so I'm like, take that back. So, but thank you guys very much. It's an honor to work here. Thank you.
It should also be noticed, you kind of glossed over it, but Dr. Sensabaugh is pretty unique in her role, much like Ms. Kaiser. She has the responsibility of the K-12 educational program, where it's usually very specialized in individual districts. And in addition to her teaching responsibility, Dr. Sensabaugh also handles all of our state compliance and working with DESE. And I can tell you, we are not only fortunate to have her here as a valued employee, but she is really well thought of and sought out from other districts and thought happy of. So thank you, Michelle.
Before we move on to our public comments, I just wanted to take a moment as her last regular session meeting. I know this is Bella's final regular session meeting, and she's served the board and served the community well for many, many years. And I'm just grateful for your service. 12 years on the board, and previously been engaged with the school for substitute teaching and as a parent and student and everything. So Bella, I just appreciate you so much and all that you've done and the ways that you've been able to mentor me over the past 5 years. So I just want to say thank you for your service, your 12 years. And I know it was a difficult decision, but anyways, thank you very much. And I hope that retirement from the board is good. So
Well, it's been an honor, and I've seen a lot of great things happen. So the kids here deserve all the great things that will happen in the future. So
well, thank you very much. Our next meeting, but this was your last regular session meeting, so I just want to say thank you. I also wanted to just make a quick comment about at our previous executive session meeting that we had. We also passed a memorandum of understanding that allowed our students here to participate with the Parkway South High School in the lacrosse season for next year. We're able to do that with emerging sports, which emerging sports have a lot of qualifying things that go along with it. But so we, the school that is accepting other athletes doesn't have to move up in class size, but it also provides our students with more opportunities. So we're grateful for this, grateful for the work that Mr. Hamilton did and the administration over at Parkway South to make sure that we could do this. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to know that, wanted people to know that this option is out there for those emerging sports like lacrosse. So the final thing that I wanted to say, well, one was obviously in just a few days, we're going to be voting. So please make sure you get out and know all you can about our candidates. I've got some great candidates. Please make sure you get out and vote for the two positions that we have for the Board of Education. And also one of the things that came across our email and I just saw on the news as I was getting ready to come here was the death of a former student. And I just wanted to send condolences to that family. LaFrance, who we had math fact scholars as well for 3 years, was tragically killed in an accident last night. So just wanted for everybody to be able to be praying for his family. So at this time, I wanted to ask how many we had here for public comment. We have one. As long as you don't take 30 minutes, we're good.
That sounds like a challenge.
Ms. Davis, if you don't mind stepping to the podium and just say your name and address, and then please make the comment. Thanks for coming.
My name is Colleen Davis. I live on Patricia Hill and catch corner to Eddie Walker. My comment is, first of all, I'd like to congratulate all the student athletes and all the winners of the stock market game. I think that's incredible. My comment is, where are we celebrating the other students, the academics? The kids are here for academics first, not for athletics. We celebrate the stock market, we celebrate all the gifted program, but what about all the other scholars that are here at our school? They don't get any recognition or honor at events like this. It could be a student who does really well on a project from one teacher, a student who is a C student and pulled their grades up to B. It could be a top student in a class, but they get zero recognition. And I think we should start with a Scholar of the Month. you know, recognize some of our students who work their butts off here at school, which is what they're here for. They're not here for athletics. They're here for academics first. They're student athletes. Students should be recognized for what they do. And I feel that they need more recognition here and at the board meetings and throughout the schools. I think that starting in elementary school all the way through to the high schools, they need that recognition. They work their butts off. They want to get those academic scholarships through college. And if we don't give them that support and show them that we're proud of them and honor them, they're going to give up and they're going to stop working their tails off. So I really think this is something that the board should consider.
All right. Davis, thank you so much for that. I know we had the opportunity to talk about that a little bit. So as a student who definitely wouldn't have gotten an athletic recognition, I appreciate your comments. So no, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve our agenda. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Second. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Our consent items this evening, 4.01 through 4.06, we have the approval of our regular session minutes from our February 23rd, approval of our regular session minutes from March 17th, approval of our check register from March 2022, approval of our board reorganization date, which is Wednesday, April 13th at 7 p.m., approval of our computer purchase, and a $500 anonymous donation for the 8th grade celebration. I'm going to make a motion to approve our consent items. Can I have a second?
Second.
Does anybody want to take any of these out?
Yes.
Which one, Pete?
Check registry and 4.05.
Okay, 4.0,
4.03, 4.05.
4.03 and 4.05.
Yes.
So I will make I'll go ahead and make a motion to, or amend that motion to be for 4.01, 4.02, 4.04 and 4.05. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
Oh, 06, sorry, not 05. Yeah, thank you. And okay, so we have a motion, a second. All those in favor for 4.01, 4.02, 4.04 and 4.06? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right.
A wonderful thing that somebody made a donation to the kids.
Yeah.
Celebration, that's really nice.
Absolutely. Pete, 4.03.
Yeah, I just want to mention that this is the same check registry that I've been looking at for, I just told someone sitting here that this thing I got from the Missouri School Board is my 27th to hang on the wall, so I have an entire wall wallpaper now. I'd like to see a little detail changed in this, and I know from being on the board what most of these expenses are. But you know, our agenda goes online and people can look at it. And I think if we were able to put a column in there that had one more clip that just gives a brief explanation, it would help. I mean, we're all supposed to be guarantors of the school's money, especially the school board, because we all know that everybody lives in Valley Park pays one of the highest taxes there is. And that's not all the school district's fault. A lot of it's got to do with the levy. But when we see $8,000 going to another school district, such as Melville, people question it. I would question. Little do most people know that they control our virtual program. If we got people on virtual, that's how we route. They handle that for us. So, which is actually an excellent deal for the school district. But all I'd like to ask, and I've talked to our CFO, is to look at put a minor column in there that just gives a blurb, like the Melville would say, you know,
Like a memo line.
Virtual services.
virtual services, you know, because I know everybody on this board doesn't know what every one of these are. Some of them are just realistically, we know, but some of them you might ask a question, especially when there's pretty good sized checks. We are all here to keep track of the money, so I would like a little bit of detail.
And 4.05.
4.05, I would, because of the amount of money on that, I would like to hear Zach just tell us a little bit about the computer upgrade, please. There is quite a bit of money involved, and I wouldn't mind hearing his side of what we need. I know they look at this over, but everybody can, if you're not a computer expert, it helps to have somebody that is explaining to us.
Absolutely. So I think if we skip past the memo and look at the screen here.
Yep.
This will kind of help us out a little bit. So what we're doing is we are going to replace the current kindergarten going in the first, replace the current third going in the fourth, or fourth going in the fifth, and the current eighth going in the ninth. So the class of 2026, the class of 2030, and the class of 2034. Currently on Acer Spin Bs from 2017, Dell 3190s from 2020, and Dell 3190s from 2019.
So the number of students is the number of acers that are in the room. There's not a one-to-one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
kindergarten also?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's also the number of computers, not just the number of students.
Yeah. These are the actual numbers
Okay,
of students in those grade levels. Whenever I made this earlier this month.
yeah, I was just confused because it said students and not computers.
So the Acer STEM Bs.
Yep.
There's from 2017. They're old.
That we have here.
The
That's what you had us, and then you gave us the kindergarten.
It's true.
I know it hurts.
The Dell 3190s from 2020, yes, we gave those to fourth grade, the current fourth graders last year, I believe. But establishing, doing things this way will establish a 4-year cycle for each of these grade levels. So as a first grader, you'll get a new computer. You'll use it through first, second, third, and fourth grade.
Okay,
Fourth grade will use it through fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Then your eighth graders will use 9, 10, 11, 12.
and that's the 4-year turnover is what we had set up with Patrick before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and see, this is all relatively new stuff too, because during the pandemic, we switched from lab model to one-to-one. So
Right.
this is a whole new line of thinking,
Okay.
and this will establish a 4-year refresh cycle for your grade levels.
Okay.
So every first grader, every fifth grader, and every ninth grader will get a new computer.
Okay, and just for the, to know it, what kind of shrinkage do we have on computers? For in that grade level,
As far as damages or
all of the above, damage, lost, truck ran over it, bus ran over it, dog ate it,
left it on top of the car and
all of
drove
the.
off.
I know there's gotta be some. So
Yes.
are
Good,
you
actually.
planning extra computers for the
Oh, yes.
bus rate? So you know what the percentage is?
We are planning on enrollment changes as
Okay.
well as damage, loss, whatever.
Okay, so what kind of percentage are you running?
So if you take these planned refreshed classes, it's
Yep.
176 total kids. And the proposal is for 250 computers. I know that sounds
That's okay.
way off.
I'm not that quick on math. I never made an engineer.
That's about 70 kids or 70
What's
computers.
the percentage? That's a pretty big percentage.
It is. What we're seeing is prior to COVID-19, prior to one-to-one.
Yep.
We typically purchased about 15 to 20 computers extra per grade level when we do a refresh.
Okay,
And in the past, we would do a refresh of 3 to 4 grade levels at a time, either like the whole high school or the whole middle school. And sometimes like 3, 4, 5.
gotcha.
So that was prior to COVID one-to-one. So with one-to-one, we have increased computer mobility. The computers are not staying in the classrooms, they're going home, back and forth.
Yep.
So this travel has shown us a increase in damage.
Absolutely.
As of 3/11, we've had 16 unrepairable computers.
Okay,
That's broken cases, shattered screens,
all right.
lost, stolen, whatever.
Do we track whose computers those are?
Yes.
Okay, so we
And-
get habitual users, we can maybe talk to the parents.
Yeah.
I mean, if one
It
kid's
is-
broke 5 computers, we need to talk to somebody.
And all those damages like that, that's all in the tech loan agreement.
Yep.
And those fines do get assessed in the campus. So
Sure.
if you have a shattered screen, you're gonna see $150 fine in your
Just,
Infinite campus.
just remember, as a district compared to where it was back in 2017, we were shrinking quickly,
We are.
right? Because we're in the mid-800s. That's 250 kids off of what it was when we built elementary. As a district.
So what this will do is, this will allow ACERS from 2017 to go back into our supply for kindergarten
and whatever. This will replenish our 3190s from 2019 and 2020, since we're refreshing those computers in 2 grade levels. Those will go back into our current stock of those models to support the rest of our kids. So we'll deploy ACER 2017s to the incoming kindergarten class. This will establish a 4-year cycle for 2034, 2030, 2026. And this will allow us to begin to phase out the ACERs from 2017. And this also allows us the last resort use of ACERs, of the new ones, if we get the new ACERs, as replacements for 3190s from 2019 and 2020.
Okay. And then in the off season during the summer, then you scrub everything before you put it back in the kindergarten?
Yes, for kindergarten, yes. And this proposed amount here, that was already in our 21-22 budget.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, that's exactly what we
I have a
did.
question.
Okay.
What is the supply chain looking like right now? Are we gonna be able to get these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know
They're-
last year,
I actually ordered a test model last month and got it in within 2 weeks of ordering it. So it's looking pretty good. I know last year we got our new computers in April, and we actually refreshed the next class a little bit early before summer. So that allowed the students to have their new computers all through summer and then at the beginning of school.
Excellent.
So we might do that again. It seemed like it worked out well. And we'll do that after map testing.
Excellent. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but when you have that much detail and you're not a computer person,
Yeah,
there's no
absolutely.
way. So
And
I hope it helps other people.
We did solicit quotes from 3 different vendors, 3 different models and everything. And the Acer just seemed to be the best. The Acers from 2017 have held up fantastically. The Dells, the hinges on them are less than ideal. We get a lot of broken hinges, and just from frequent use, just opening and closing the hinges on them are terrible. And just the working knowledge of we're seeing a lot more broken Dells than we are with the
Was
Acer.
Acer the low bid?
Yes,
Oh, they were.
yeah.
Okay.
We did Acer, we did Dell, and we did Lenovo. Was the 3 that we solicited.
Okay, Acer came in at the less.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
All right.
The other guys get the money for you?
We got fine.
Any other questions?
You, I'm not that. 12%. Okay, we bet. Yeah. Let's go get the check.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Comments?
Really appreciate his detail. It helps when it's got that much listed at one thing. I don't like to see it in percent. It's just too much for me to.
Happy to provide the info.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve 4.03 and 4.05.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Consent items have been approved. Let's have the 5.01, the approval of the visitor management system. Mr. Hardesty, you are up again.
This is my show tonight. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I keep hearing cheat.
this one's not as bad as the last one. So a little bit of background. This is a project that Pete's been wanting to do for how many years? 10 years? 8 years. So I know.
Thanks for making me wait. You were hoping I died. I didn't die. I'm close to it, but I didn't make it.
I knew of the project in 2018-ish. We were looking at it, we had quotes for these systems. And then COVID happened. Obviously, you don't need a visitor management system in a school that doesn't have visitors. So now that we're open back up, let's revisit this. So basically, for a visitor management system, we're looking for a system that when a parent or a visitor comes in, they hand their driver's license over, scans it in the machine, checks against a sex offender registry, and then it prints out a badge. Nearly every school around us has it. I don't know of any schools that don't actually have it. So
Not the St. Louis County.
not in St. Louis County. So this will fall into our strategic plan pillar 4, fostering operational excellence, our resources. And this is also for student security. We lock our doors, access control, why not? see if someone's on the sex offender registry before they come to our school. So I kind of explained that here in the memo about COVID, about having to put this on hold. I was asked to revisit this just a couple months ago. And Chris Pohl and Chris is our Director of Facilities and Security. We revisited this idea. I actually put an email out to our state tech directors list for the state of Missouri. And I got a lot of Raptor responses, and I got a lot of Hall Pass responses. Elliott is a local company, and they serve a lot of St. Louis County. So I did demos. Chris was with me on these demos as well. Each system was presented to us, and we evaluated them against a predetermined list. Hold up here. There we go. Page 2. So we have this list here. I made this before we did our demos. So all of these systems, yeah, you can take a driver's license, you can scan it, you get a badge. So they can all do that. What else can they do? What's the differences? What's the price differences? Those were a lot of our determining factors. Some of the high points, they all do sex offender checks, obviously. 2 of our vendors do background checks at an additional cost. So if you want to have parents background check for, felonies or anything like that, that is an additional cost.
Field trips.
For field trips, yes, exactly. They can all integrate with our student information system. Some of those are included, some of those are an additional cost on some vendors. The equipment needed for startup is all pretty much the same. One of the big differences I pointed out was Elliott Data. They require you to run a on-prem server, whereas the other 2 are full cloud-based, which is very important to me because I don't want to support another server inside.
We're fine.
Yeah. And like I said, they all do 50 state sex offender registries. One of the cool things about Hall Pass, I want to know, I'm making Hall Pass look good. I had never heard of Hall Pass before I sent out my email. So this was a pretty blind evaluation on these guys. But I noticed Hall Pass says they check Interpol child trafficking list.
I noticed that too.
Let's see, anything else? Kiosks, I think, are kind of important. We want to be able to set up a computer in front of the offices so parents can check themselves in. I think that's pretty cool. 2 of the vendors offer that. One of those vendors makes you pay for it. The other vendor doesn't have a kiosk. It is in development though. And then we just have our total startup cost. There's quite a bit of difference here. And you're looking at Elliott, Hall Pass, and Raptor. And these are your annual renewal fees for, just your annual subscription to their services. Down at the bottom, I had a spot for notes. Hall Pass has RFID card support, so we can actually issue RFID tags to parents who frequent the school, and then come in, you can actually scan that, and it makes things a little bit quicker. There's also tons of reporting, timesheets, just all kinds of stuff with Hall Pass. They also offer emergency messages. So there is actually a instant alert button at the top of the screen that if there is a emergency, the offices can click that button, and whoever's on the predetermined list with phone numbers, emails, will get an alert. And we tested it when we were doing our demo. He put my number in and hit that button. I mean, I got a text like that. So it's instant. So we could have Tony on there. You can be alerted on all 3 systems. You can be alerted anytime a sex offender tries to check into the school.
Well, our system now, not if everybody knows it, was Tony sitting writing down everybody's driver's license number coming in. I mean, there's no check, there's no nothing, we have it wrote down, but I mean, takes us into the 21st century with the rest of the schools.
Yeah.
And, we started this whole program with safety, locking the doors, everything, all the way down to having Tony full-time, which we actually had 2 at one time and lost it because the city didn't want to pay for the other help, came after Sandy Hook. And at that time, I happened to be, I was elected as head of the safety committee, and that's when everything started getting locked up, locked down. Permanent, getting a car on the lot with the police officer, so the car is actually a deterrent itself by sitting there. And that's basically when this all started. I mean, so at least we're getting there.
And you know, one of the big things I was really paying attention to was the ease of use, because I want it to be easy for our offices to use it. And I felt that Hall Pass was very simple to use, very upfront. There is your info right there. And they're actually coming out with a brand new interface, and we actually got to demo that. I think we'll be one of the first districts on that. And they also have a brand new printer from Samsung that's going to be printing the labels instead of the Dymo label printers that they say.
This prints out a visitor badge for the person.
Yep.
So
And we
we
can
know came from that printer, you know, it's, you know,
Yeah, you can print the time in that it was printed. You can print the expected time of departure on there. Have a picture on there if you want.
Usually has a location to it where they're supposed
Yeah.
to be going, so if you say you're going somewhere and you're on the other side of the building,
yeah.
then we as teachers notice
Right.
saying, oh, were you trying to find something? Let me help you
You're
get
trying to
there."
find the high school library and you're in preschool.
Yeah. like, "Why don't you give me a hand?"
And one of the cool things that they can do is they have a event manager in there, so you can actually say, Miss Shamel's class is having a party, so we can actually pre-check in parents and have all the badges sitting there. And parents can just come in, pick up their badge, put it on. So that's something cool that will help us out. Now, I did want to point this out. Here is your users of these 3 systems. So with Elliott Data, you've got Parkway, Lindbergh, Hazelwood, Ferguson, Florissant, Clayton. That's just some of our local. Obviously, they kind of dominate the St. Louis market between them and Raptor. Hall Pass, we found a lot of them out on the western side of the state around Kansas City. Iberia, Springfield Public, Liberty, Lee Summit, Oak Hill Day. And this is just the people I heard from. And Raptor, Festus, Windsor, Hickman Mills, Raytown, Holden, Ladue, Melville.
So we'll be the first St. Louis County school with all this.
Yes.
And we do know Springfield Public's the largest school district in the state, so.
Yeah, Springfield Public, Lee Summit. I'm pretty sure Liberty's a pretty big school
They
too.
are. So, okay. And the cost is that every year, once a year, what's the contract?
So our startup cost. Hall Pass was the clear winner. Raptor came in second. Elliott was the third. Hall Pass also shares the least expensive renewal cost. There is no contract. You pay for it. You know, you pay year by year, so you're not stuck in a contract. I'm not sure about Elliott and Raptor on that, but I know Hall Pass, you are not stuck in a contract.
So do we actually get hardware for the 4,300?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and then the annual payment is on top of that. That's not guaranteed next year. That's just for this coming year. After that, the price could change because it's a 1-year contract.
This is the annual renewal cost. You don't have to pay that in this number. This number right here is the number that it will cost for us to start up in free.
Okay, so we don't have to pay the 1,100 till next year.
That's right.
Make sure they put that in writing that that price stays the same for next year. Because 3 months from now, they could raise the price.
Yeah, that is the price of the equipment and the first year subscription.
Perfect.
So I noticed that the price, so I asked earlier on, so if a parent was gonna attend a field trip and then, 5 months later was gonna attend the field trip again, they'll do the background check 2 different times, but the cost of it is only $5 as opposed to now it's like 14, right?
Yes, with Hall Pass and Raptor, they both have background checks. I think Raptor can do more in-depth background checks. I don't know how you can get more in-depth on a criminal background check. Interpol, I guess. But yes, those are all additional costs.
On that, the other nice thing about that is with the current system run through the state, it often takes, if we're lucky, weeks to get results back, where this is instantaneous results back.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, right, maybe. We get a lot of pending notifications for a long time.
Well, I mean, I know when we first started doing the background checks, although I thought they were extremely necessary, you know, my concern is, and I don't feel as strongly about it with it being $5, and I know 14 is not that much money either, but I just always want to make sure that we have some provision that if we have a parent that wants to participate, that they have an avenue, like, you know, a way that maybe PTO or somebody like that could help them if needed, you know, so that they don't, no one feels like they can't participate with their kids. That's important to me. But I mean, obviously the background check is important to me as well. And I would just like to go on the record to thank Pete for his hard work over the last 8 years. I mean, he's spent a huge amount of time on this after Sandy Hook because it was obviously so awful. And we really looked at a lot of things and made a lot of moves. We wanted the school to be safe, but we don't want it to feel like the kids are in prison, you know, so because, you know, sometimes you can just get like so worried about it, then they feel like they're behind locked doors all the time, you know, so I feel like we've got a good balance. I think this is a great addition to kind of finish it out, I feel like, so.
And unlike paper copies, these all three, we will keep logs of who's been here indefinitely. So we don't have to worry about keeping files and files of papers.
Nothing's more important than staff and student safety, period.
Absolutely.
Right.
And don't let anybody tell you it can't happen here. That's what they said in San Diego, in the middle of a cornfield. It can't happen there. That's not true. And Della, we know better for you.
And this is why I had fun with this project and doing the evaluation stuff, because it's something that we need, and it's something that I really kind of have a passion for. So I really enjoyed working with 3 vendors and doing the
I
evaluation. and
appreciate
seeing
the
the
work.
difference.
Yeah, I was shocked as you were with all this.
I was too.
But that's why we go out and get 3 bids.
Yeah, and I'm really glad to hear all of the good things, especially since it came down to being the lowest one, because I was like, well, we want to have what's the best.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that it has all these features and still came in, you know, lower. So
Yeah.
good job with seeking that out.
That means they're hungry for business and hungry to
Yes.
get in St. Louis County. That means.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve 5.01. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, are there any other questions or comments for Zach?
Thank you for that.
Great job.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
love the
Zach, thanks for
format.
the work.
Not a problem. And shout out to Chris too. Chris was on all these calls with me.
Thanks,
taking
Chris.
Time out of his
Thanks, Chris.
day too. So
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a vote to approve 5.01, visitor management system for using All Pass. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, have a visitor management system. Dr. Dilge, the architectural services selection. Explain that a little bit.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Bigger. As part of strategic plan, pillar 4, operational excellence, one of our strategic plan, action plan goals is facility master planning. Essentially having a long-range plan for 5 to 10 years for repair, replacement cycles, so that we can be intentional not only about our budgeting short-term, but knowing what large expenses like boilers, HVAC systems, et cetera, piping, masonry work, et cetera, roofing, all comes forward to us, that we have a general timeline so that we can create that systems and processes of intentionality. As the Board of Education is aware, in February, we sent out a request for qualifications for architectural firms to help us with facility master planning, community engagement, and pre-bonding services. We were really fortunate to receive 4 responses from 4 really highly qualified, highly experienced architectural firms in the area in Kansas City. The Board of Education received all 4 of those proposals, as did myself, Dr. Lowe, and Chris Pohl. After getting some feedback from the Board of Education, we ultimately selected 3 firms to come talk to us some more about their planning. 3 of the 4 firms, those were HTK Architect, FGM Architect, and Paragon Architecture. After reviewing their presentations and proposals and consulting with references, tonight we are recommending that Paragon Architectural Services be selected as the district's architect for facility planning services at this time. They have over 60 years of combined experience mostly serving smaller public schools, which was also a big draw for us compared to some of the competitors we met with. They also have a local office, which was really important to us for them to be stationed in St. Louis, so that we knew we would have responsiveness. And they're doing some of the more recent work as well in Northwest House Springs School District, as well as Jefferson Community College as well. Their communication throughout the process was exceptional. The responsiveness has been amazing. We have a lot of confidence that they can meet our schedules and our goals. And we also really liked learning more about their high retention rate of clients, as well as their ability to kind of really work us in with that workload balance that some of the other larger organizations could not assure us. So tonight, we're recommending Paragon Architecture to work with the Board of Education and the district administration to engage our community. We know we have some things we have to do with some of those larger equipment capital items, but we also know our community has some hopes and dreams that they want to accomplish over the next several years in our district. And so to engage them in that feedback and the development of the plan to bring that to the Board of Education.
I'm going to make a motion to approve 5.01 architectural services selection. Can I have a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions for Dr. Dilge? Yeah.
It's been 15 years since we've had a 5-year plan. So this is well received by me. It's about time that we do some live work data, look ahead at what we're going to have as a school district 5 years from now, what we need to fix and what we don't need to fix. It's something that has to be kept up with. So I'm glad that we've got a firm that we can trust and will do the job that we need them to do.
And being able to budget for those things that might be 4 or 5 years, 10 years, 10 years off,
Yeah.
makes it a good thing for our district to be able to
Makes it
manage that well.
hard to do without it.
Yes.
Well, in this particular group, and I think one of the others too, made it a point in their, booklet to say that, they design the budget. They don't make a design and then say, oh, here's how much money we need, or this is how much more money we need. We say, this is how much money we have for the project, and they do a nice project for that money. So I thought that was.
Yeah, it's one of the things, thank you for pointing that out. It's one of the things that also quite honestly separated them from others. Others would give us ranges or percentages of doing the work. Paragon Architecture had fixed pricing models so that when we negotiate the work to be done, they give us a firm price on that. So we're not guessing what our pricing is.
Yeah, that definitely allows for more sureness in our budget as well. So,
Absolutely.
any other questions? Comments? I think this is one of those necessary things that we need to do that we haven't done to plan for our future. All right, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the selection of the Paragon Architectural Service, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, we have a partnership. I'm now going to make a motion to adjourn to executive session. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. Faye, we're going to go ahead and start with you.
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Thank you all so much for joining us.